recognize myself for 5 minutes. On January 6, 2021, the Administrative Office of the Courts released a public statement about a cybersecurity breach dating back to early 2020, unrelated to SolarWinds. However, it was only in March of this year that the committee first learned the startling breadth and scope of the Court's document management system security failure. And perhaps even more concerning is the disturbing impact the security breach had on pending civil and criminal litigation, as well as on ongoing national security or intelligence matters. Understanding that this is an unclassified setting, what types of cases or investigations or U.S. attorneys' offices were impacted the most by this breach, and how many of those cases and investigations are within your division?
Chairman, let me begin by just saying that the threat we face from cyber-enabled attacks, whether that's to the government and the public sector, including Congress, and to the private sector, is one of the most significant threats we face as a country to our national security. For the National Security Division, we are focused on nation-state attacks. And those attacks can come from countries like China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. While I can't speak directly to the nature of the ongoing investigation of the types of threats that you've mentioned regarding the effort to compromise the public judicial dockets, this is, of course, a significant concern for us, given the nature of the information that is often held by the courts.
Have any cases or investigations within the NSD been materially impacted, prolonged, or dismissed because of the Court's breach?
I can't think of anything in particular that's been affected in the way that you describe, although I would want to double check on that. We are very concerned, and we're working, I can assure you, based on my own personal experience, that we're working very closely with the Judicial Conference and judges around the country to address this issue.
Thank you. Has the Department or NSD audited your own systems to ensure that you were not compromised by the same 3 hostile foreign actors who attacked the document management system?
It's an ongoing effort to ensure the protection of our systems for the exact same reason. But I would say that the challenge when it comes to the sophisticated nation-state type activity that we see in cyber, the challenge is significant, and it's very difficult to ever be in a position to say that any system is 100% safe when it comes to sophisticated nation-states that seek to obtain persistent access to these systems.
The Department's 2022 Comprehensive Cyber Review concluded that DOJ, quote, needs to consider carefully what data it collects, both the lawfulness of the sources and the veracity of the data itself, close quote. As we heard last week during our digital dragnets hearing, unreliable or unverified data, often purchased through commercially available third-party sources, can lead to incorrect identification, wrongful arrests, and costly litigation for innocent parties. Under the Brady Rule, prosecutors have a constitutional duty to disclose potentially exculpatory evidence, but when prosecutors rely on information purchased by law enforcement, this is often not the case. What is the Department's policy on sharing exculpatory evidence with defendants when that information was acquired through purchases from data brokers, apps, social media platforms, or other third-party commercial sources?
So, Chairman, as a former federal prosecutor myself, I can assure you that the obligation under the Constitution to provide exculpatory evidence to the accused under the Brady Rule is one that is taken extremely seriously. It applies across the board to any information that the government has in its possession, regardless of the source. And so I would, while I haven't looked at that policy recently, I know that that general obligation applies across the board to federal prosecutors.
And I assume you will promise to keep us updated on the investigation of the Court's breach?
Absolutely, absolutely. We stand ready to come to Congress to talk about that at any time.
Thank you very much.